Oh, that was the best when they asked for a picture of the team, and I sent them a picture of puppies with our faces photoshopped onto them. They used it.
Yeah, they did. It was awesome.
We really need to figure out, the biggest trick is going to be figuring out how to have, like, sexuality everywhere and still have it be family friendly.
This will be the last time I visit your Facebook. That's one of the comments. Alan Turner is quoted for saying, "Handle your business."
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a long story because when we were still in school, we had worked on Octodad, the first game, and it was a student project, and it was like an extracurricular thing. It wasn't even part of a class.
The game dev program had an opportunity where they wanted to make a game to submit to the Independent Game Festival for students, the Student Game Festival. They had the call for it, or they wanted to make it feel like interviews for a job. So we came with a resume, we came in kind of looking, dressed up a little bit. It was like applying, we talked about games, and we pitched games. And then from there they selected 20 different people. And we ended up being the team that made the first Octodad. The pitch was maybe there's an octopus and he drives a robot and he's inside the head of a human robot, and the game's all about pulling like triggers and levers and just moving things around. And from there we kind of dropped the robot concept and we're like, yeah, let's stick the octopus in a suit.
You have no bones, obviously, and so you're trying to kind of control him like a marionette in that you control each of his limbs independently.
We just figured an octopus, it just works. I mean, we had thrown around for very minuscule moments, like maybe an elephant or some sort of alien or something like that, but an octopus kind of just felt right.
But it was always an octopus, because octopi are funny creatures. And if you're gonna go with something that flails around, like, it's hard to imagine a creature with more, I guess, flailing than an octopus would have.
We had always thought that maybe if the game did well, that we would start a company, but we really didn't start seriously thinking about it until we realized that we might actually have something here. We threw pretty much everything out there and just threw everything at the wall and tried to see what would stick.
I would say Octodad is kind of like an absurdist comedy game.
Well, we kind of throw around the term fatherhood simulator a lot. I'd say it's, clumsy and dumb.
Traditional genres don't work out too well for us. You could call it an adventure, because you go places and do things, and adventure is a pretty nebulous term.
Another person compared our game to living with a secret, or you're telling your family about something that's wrong with you, or something you think is wrong, or keeping a secret from people. We do that thing where we're like, oh, that's what we meant to do. Like, of course it is, but we made a silly octopus game and people have managed to derive real meaning out of it. And that's totally propelled us forward, because we want to make something that is meaningful, but at the same time silly and jokey. Our mentors really just wanted us to push the weirdity as much as possible. Like, they wanted things to be really strange, like no platforming, no jumping around, no shooting, things that were done already. Try and avoid that. We went to the Game Developer Conference. It was huge. It was great. And we didn't win, but people clearly liked the game. People wanted to play it, and people who played it laughed and enjoyed it.
I don't know. Yeah, it felt like it just grew over the course of, well, now it's been, 3 years or so?
We made the first Octodad. We released that to the IGF. The response was way better than we imagined, because we imagined nothing. It got one of the spots at the student showcase. So then we went to GDC. While we were there, we kind of met up, as many of us as we could, and talked about it, and discussed who actually wanted to continue and who didn't.
I remember how it went exactly. We were in the because we stayed in a hostel. We couldn't afford a hotel. We were in like the basement of this hostel discussing what we were going to do with this game next, and half the team didn't want to continue. They wanted to work in like the AAA industry, and the other half of the team like, let's just do it. Let's make a game. So in the basement of a hostel in San Francisco, like Young Horses was born.
As far as working full-time, we didn't do that actually until recently for most of us. Throughout the creation of Dadliest Catch, the second game, most of us were working other full-time jobs while doing this, and so we were working on the game on nights and weekends, and pretty much just with any free time we had, and kind of got rid of our social lives to an extent.
And yeah, now I'm going through the cutscenes one by one and just finding new architecture stuff I have to do.
It was hard for the first several years because we would enter into contests, we would go for Indiecade, we tried out certain funding methods, and like it wasn't good enough. It wasn't even close to good enough at the time, and we would be rejected and we would feel awful. And frankly, every time we've done really well, we get cocky and lazy. So I kind of see the low points as necessary to our progress, because if it's going well, then we stop thinking as hard as we can about what we're doing.
I see now, it's in cubes. What about the donation?
The donation thing pops off if you grab it, but if you smack that with your knee or leg...
I smack it with my... Oh, it'll
pop off.
Like, did you put a force on it or something?
Yeah, a little bit. The editor we use in the game is really unique, and like, in that it was out there, and then we just kept adding things to it until it became this Frankenstein monstrosity. How did you put it, Chris? If there's a problem with it, not only does the problem get fixed, but there's usually a new feature added to the editor.
Because the person who programmed that editor is here, anytime we want a new feature, or, well, not anymore, but in the beginning when we wanted new features or things changed, or pretty much anything we ask him, he'll grumble a little bit, and then he'll do it. So Kevin Geisler, the guy who made it, it's nice to have him on the team and still working on the editor.
Because he adds things. We not only does the fix happen, but we get brand new stuff, brand new toys we can play with. So, like, hypothetically, I could go like this, and then use it just fine. But the bell's pretty fun.
Yeah, once it makes a horrible noise, everyone's gonna love to ring that thing.
For most everyone, it wasn't a major stress. We didn't have a particular timeline, so there was like nothing from the outside to like force us into a really bad situation.
I don't know, I like having complete creative control of the game, and I mean sometimes it's bad because there's 8 of us and to come to a decision on something is not always easy, but I'd rather have it take a little extra time than being told by someone this is what we're doing.
At PAX East 2013, most recently, we were at a point where we were like, okay, we got the new game, and it's looking good, and people are enjoying it, and it's playing well. Now would be the time, and a representative from Sony came by and just kind of asked us, like, you know, hey, we're doing PlayStation 4 stuff soon. Would you guys be interested in being on there? And we could send you guys some dev kits. And then we're like, yeah, of course, you know. And so, like, I don't know, I think 48 hours or so after we signed paperwork for it, they sent kits. And then about a month later, we had the game running well on hardware. And then they were like, hey, you guys should come to E3. Which we were all pretty stoked about, and we were like, cool, we'll get some, you know, booth space, we'll have like maybe 1 or 2 kiosks or something. And then shortly after that, they asked us if we wanted to be on stage.
Young Horses. We sent PlayStation 4 dev kits to the studio comprised of DePaul University grads in Chicago. Within only 4 weeks, they sent us back a playable version of their IGF-nominated game series. Octodad Dadliest Catch will stagger awkwardly onto PlayStation 4. Now, although historically accurate, this game does not contain giant enemy crabs.
It was pretty exciting and like weird to see that, and like just be looking at Twitter and like seeing people talk about the game. And I was like, all right, this is when we start getting the attention of the people who are going to hate the game, but also a lot of people who are going to like it. you know that you're doing something right if like 10% of people like can't stand what you're doing and 90% of people love it. It's kind of how I feel about it.
The first time I saw someone say, I want to get a PS4 to play Octodad, it just blew my mind. Like, I'd never expected that to happen.